Did it. The Mets actually did it. We have re-signed Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso will be a New York Met this upcoming season after the most agonizing, painful negotiations that I have experienced as a fan in the longest of times. Pete Alonso is returning to the New York Mets. This was just reported within the last half an hour or so. Pete Alonso will be back with the New York Mets. Super excited. It is actually happening. No more speculating, no more waiting. Just got to get this signed on the dotted line, and we are here. We are excited. Pete Alonso is back. Here are the breakdown of the deals, and then we'll just break down the deal itself, what this means for the Mets this year, 2025 and 2026. All right, so this article is by Manny Rodhouse from MLB.com. Pete Alonso is coming back. The Mets slugger agreed to a free agent contract to return to the only team he's ever played for. Alonso's deal is for 2 years and $54 million with an opt-out after 2025, okay? So it's a 1-year deal, and he can opt in. Pete alone can opt in after this year. This year, he gets $20 million plus a $10 million signing bonus. That is followed by next year, he has a $24 million player option. So if he exercises all of his options and everything that goes along with it, Pete Alonso will earn up to $54 million over the next 2 years. Obviously, this is not the amount that Pete has been wanting to get, but I think we finally got to the point where he realized, look, he really wanted to be a Met all along. He wanted to be a Met, and the Mets wanted him, and they tried. They tried so many times, and we finally got the job done. It is so important to remember here a couple of things. One, since he debuted in 2019, Pete Alonso has hit more home runs than everyone in Major League Baseball except for Aaron Judge. And he's only behind Aaron Judge by 6 home runs, 226 to 232. So he is he is 30. He's 30 this year. So there's obviously concern that last year was a going downhill season, and it was kind of a poor trajectory for Pete Alonso. Of course, Pete wants to prove that it was just a down year. He's coming back. I'm so excited to at least see 1 year, hopefully 2, but at least 1 year with Pete Alonso in this lineup with Juan Soto, with all the other pieces that we have. This is by far the best lineup that Pete has had around him. This will be the best New York Mets lineup that I can remember in years. So we're so excited. I'm so thirsty. I'm like so excited and everything with it. So what I want to know, if you're on replay, if you're watching live, vertical, horizontal, we're streaming on 2 different ways, so you can find us one way or the other. Are you excited about this? Is this what you wanted to see? Is this what you'd hope for? I feel like this deal is more than fair. I don't feel like the Mets overpaid significantly here. I think they overpaid just enough to kind of give them like, hey, we really want you back. And of course, now it's kind of in Pete's hands, as to both how he chooses to handle next offseason. Of course, that means we're going to have no shortage of Pete Alonso news coming in the next offseason. But for today, it comes down to like, how is he going to play this season? Is he going to play? And so I feel like you're going to see a pretty pressure-free Pete Alonso this year, because he knows that even if this season is not his best season, he can come back next year. And if he has a great season, obviously, then maybe he'll be able to go out and try to get that max deal that he really wanted to have here. So, what are your thoughts? I'm super excited. I know this is the news we've been talking about in so many different ways for weeks. It feels like really months that Mets fans have been talking, wondering what was going to happen with Pete Alonso. I'm glad that he's here. I'm glad that he's going to be here at the start of spring training. One of the big concerns that I always have with the team is like just the time to gel together. And sometimes you just bring guys in late and it just doesn't feel like it works out as well as it could had they just had more time to spend together. I feel like that was a little bit with like JD Martinez last year. It just kind of felt like just took a while to really get into the rhythm. And so Pete's going to be there with the Mets. Spring training has not officially started. Of course, some players have already reported, but we're going to have Pete Alonso at first base, that means you're going to have Vientos at third, and then maybe Beatty, and maybe Mauricio, and maybe Acuna, all battling out for extra playing time at third base, second base, occasional shortstop. If they ever want to DH Lindor for a day. The outfield, I would say if there's any area that I would want to go with, I would say it'd be nice to get one other outfielder. But at this point in time, I think we're going to roll with what we have. Nimmo is already in spring training and looking good. He's getting some swings in. Of course, there's some concern whether or not he'll be ready to go on opening day. But this team is looking really good. Of course, it would still be nice, too, to get one more starting pitcher. I do think 100% this means that Alex Bregman is not coming to the Mets. I don't see any reasonable way that you bring him here. I think the Bregman was very unlikely to happen, but it was most likely to happen only if Pete didn't sign and the Vientos and Beatty were going to go play some first base. Of course, you still may see Vientos play first base every now and then. It'll be interesting to see how much Pete tries to go out and actually play first base every day, or if he's going to take some DH days and different things like that. But certainly it will be interesting to see how it's going to play out with all these young guys and who actually goes to camp. Some of these young guys are not young anymore. I mean, Brett Beatty's 25, I believe. And so like you're getting to the point where these guys need to either catch on with this team or move on to another team. But we are here. The Mets have re-signed Pete Alonso, 2-year, $54 million deal. Pete has an opt-in, opt-out clause, however you want to say it, after this season. So this just broke. We're super excited. Coconuts, Pete Alonso is back. Pete Alonso is back. 2 years, $54 million. This year, $20 million plus a $10 million signing bonus. Next year, player option for $24 million. And I'll tell you what, like the Mets were already considered one of the most improved teams in the offseason. And you might say, well, how does this improve them? Well, because that rating was based on Pete not being here. And they were still already considered one of the most improved teams. Now with Pete here, of course, like everything is better because Pete just brings the whole team up. And I hope it's great. I hope that I really do, I feel like it's more likely than not that this is probably now Pete's last season with the Mets. But enjoy it. Enjoy it. That's all I'm going to say. Enjoy having Pete and Juan Soto in the same lineup. I think Pete is going to love having Juan Soto in this lineup as well. I mean, and there's Lindor too. There's Nimmo. This team feels just tremendously better with Pete Alonso than it was feeling without him. And look, there's little things you can pick on here. Like I said, we could go for another outfielder. It'd be nice to not be relying on Marte all the time. It would be really nice to have another top front end starting pitcher. I still think the Mets could spring for somebody on a 1-year deal. I'm still holding out hope until I hear that he's signed. I'm holding out hope that maybe the Mets just throw a 1-year deal at Clayton Kershaw. Feels like that would be the perfect way he could go and have this chance to go win a World Series against the Dodgers, meaning like beating the Dodgers to get to the World Series. Yeah, no, I don't think the Mets Coconuts were ever really looking. I feel like they paid above market value anyway. I think they gave Pete more than a fair deal. They gave him more than one chance to sign with him. And the way I picture this went in the background is, I don't know. I can't prove this. This is just my gut. Said Pete just went to Boris and said, look, I'm sticking with you, but I need to re-sign with the Mets and I need to do it today. I told you guys I didn't think it was going to last past this week. I said Monday. Said Monday, by next Monday, we're going to know if Pete Alonso is going to be a Met or not. And so it was just very, very much about that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting if Pete. What will the Mets market be? I think the Mets will be in on Vlad Guerrero, whether Pete sticks with them or not, because you could just simply platoon Guerrero, or you could move Guerrero to third if Pete does decide to opt in for next year as well. I'm going to just go under the assumption that this is going to be Pete's last year with the Mets. I'm going to go under the assumption that he's going to end up somewhere else after, and I'm going to enjoy this. Maybe something will work out that he'll earn his long-term extension, but I just can't imagine that if he has a great year, that he's not going to go right back out and test the waters again next year. And so we shall see. We'll see how all of this plays out in the long run. Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how Vlad plays out this year. I I don't expect that the starting rotation the Mets have right now will be their starting rotation in August and September. I just don't see that happening either way. I'm fairly convinced that the Mets will add another starting pitcher somewhere. Now, will it be before the season starts? I don't know. There are still names out there though, and there are still rumors out there. And does this so then here's the implication. Does this make it a little easier to trade Beatty? Does this make it a little easier to trade Mauricio or Acuna? Of all those guys, I mean, I love them all. I feel like Acuna is the one who would really bite us if we traded him away. But maybe the Mets can put together that package for Dylan Cease now because you're not relying on Beatty and Vientos to have to cover first base. You now basically have an extra infielder, right? We were thinking, okay, this is going to work. You already kind of have an extra one anyway because you have McNeil in this mix here. But you basically have Beatty, Vientos, McNeil, Acuna, Mauricio. That's 5 guys for 2 positions. I just feel like this gives the Mets the freedom that they need now to go ahead and make that deal. It gives them the freedom to go ahead and make the deal for a pitcher. And that's just what my gut says. Now you have Pete set for this year, right? First base is set. You got Vientos who can spell him at first every now and then. And then I think if I had to guess, sadly, it would be Beatty would be the odd man out. I know his trade value might not be quite as high, but I have a feeling that the Mets are just not done here. I'm sensing that now. If you look at again, what are the 2 biggest holes on this team? One more outfielder, right? We really could use another outfielder, and we need ideally a couple more starting pitchers would be great, but we definitely could use one more front end top tier. Dylan Cease, Clayton Kershaw. I'm trying to think of who else is out there that's been talked about. Michael King. There's a lot of different things here. So yeah, there's an interesting thing. Now, hopefully this would not happen too, but if for whatever reason the Mets end up being completely out of the playoff race, then I don't know if there's any sort of no trade clause. I don't think I read anything about a no trade clause for Pete. I certainly would not expect the Mets to trade Pete unless there was a major reason to do so, but you would have him as trade bait at some point in time if you needed to. But I think the goal obviously is to win a World Series this year. That is the goal of the New York Mets. And I hope they do. I hope for Pete's sake they do. I hope for Soto's sake they do. I hope for Steve Cohen's sake. I mean, this was the year. Steve Cohen wanted a world championship by year 5. And there is now a legitimate argument that this team could make another run in the playoffs. Pete Alonso is back. Pete Alonso is a New York Met in 2025. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. And I definitely trust Stearns to find gems and different things like that. And I mean, if you look at what the Tigers did last year, the Tigers had Tariq Skubal and then a bunch of guys who had pitched 1 to 2 innings. And they made it to how far did they make it? They make it to the division series on that. 1-star pitcher with a bunch of guys just pitching and everything. But I don't know, just as a fan, I would feel there's something that can be said when you have a clutch person, right? It takes the pressure off of everybody else. So when one guy takes the pressure, it takes the pressure off everyone else. So when the Mets sign Juan Soto, that takes all the pressure off of Pete Alonso this year. The only pressure Pete Alonso has is his own interests for next year. But Pete Alonso doesn't have any pressure on this team really at this point. If he goes out and gets 100 RBIs and 35 home runs, that's fine. If he wins them some games, that's fine. If he can hit 1 or 2 clutch home runs in the playoffs, good. Like, that's it. But, like, you've got Soto to carry you. You've got Lindor. And I feel like this whole pitching staff, especially since we got young guys who are maybe possibly ready to come up, it would just be really nice to have a guy on the front end. Jonathan, how's it going? Celebrating Pete Alonso back with the New York Mets on 2-year, $54 million deal, $20 million this year, plus a $10 million signing bonus, and next year a player option for $24 million. So all told, if he accepts and opts into everything, $54 million. I do not believe. So let me know. Do you guys think the Mets are done making moves? I don't think they are. I think we're going to see a trade. I'm just going to say that. And most likely a trade for pitching. Yep, Casey, I saw the news. I've had this gut feeling like it's going to come late at night, like nighttime. Like I've known it's going to come at night. I've had that feeling, and I'm like, the only thing I didn't do was I didn't have my thumbnails ready, so that's why it took me a few extra minutes. But like, I had to record a short, get that up right away, and I saw the news 7 minutes after it was posted. So I just sat down, just finished supper, and just sat down to do everything. So super excited. Yeah, Polar Bear is back. I'm going to stay. Again, I could be completely wrong on all of this. Oh, yeah. I'm so happy. This team is so much more complete. You don't have this, oh, man, now we got to have Beatty and Vientos platooning at first. And so I'm going to say this. These are just my initial guesses. One, I think this is Pete Alonso's last season with the Mets. I'm going to enjoy it for what it is, but I think Pete's going to get the bigger deal. The market is kind of set. I mean, he had a down year and he still got $25 million a year. If he has any option of getting like 4 years, $110 million, he'll take that next year. So, and I'm assuming the Mets are probably not going to offer. I'm going to assume the Mets are going for Vlad Guerrero Jr. But so I'm going to guess that Pete Alonso, this is probably going to be his last year. And Pete Alonso emoji. And then I'm going to assume Brett Beatty is going to be traded here. Those are my two predictions just going off of this. I think they were going to hold on to Beatty if Pete didn't sign it, and if they didn't get anybody else. I think Beatty could have been included in a deal for another first baseman. Had the Mets had to go that route, but they don't. So I'm just gonna, sadly, I like Beatty, but I'm just gonna go with those predictions that Beatty is going to be gone in a trade. And I mean, obviously, we would love to trade Marte, and I think McNeil plenty of fans would be fine trading as well. And I hope we hold on to Acuna. I like Mauricio. I like all the baby Mets. I know they're not really babies anymore; they're all growing up. But I have this feeling Brett Beatty is going to be traded, and I think the Mets are going to make a play here for one more front end starting pitcher, either a number 1 or a number 2 starting pitcher, either Dylan Cease, Clayton Kershaw. And now that they have this deal and it's not anything super wild, super over the top, they've got the freedom to do it. I don't expect any more Alex Bregman rumors. There's just no reason, or there's no point for him there, because you've got your infield is Vientos, Lindor, and Pete. Okay. And then second base is maybe a little bit of it'll be a little bit of Acuna. McNeil will probably play some outfield too, especially with Nimmo hurting. In fact, the more I think about it, I think I'd rather just it be mostly McNeil in the outfield, and then some combination of Acuna, Mauricio, Beatty, Vientos playing second and third. And you can go second, third, DH among all those guys. I could see the Mets rolling for another DH, but I can also see them going with what they have right now as well. So I can see that going either way on that. So, but I think you're going to see another number 1 or number 2 starting pitcher come onto this team. I think that would be what they would want to do. A friendly reminder to everybody that we are doing a Nick Madrigal rookie card giveaway. So here's a card. I'll show it for the horizontal people, and these are for the vertical people. Got the card here. So once we get a handful of signups, we're going to give it away, and then we're going to keep going. Maybe we'll do a Pete Alonso card giveaway too, but we just want to kind of keep doing that. So make sure you click through on that link, sign up. All I need is an email address for you to sign up. Don't need to send me any of your mailing address information or anything like that unless you win. I haven't checked signups yet today, so but last I knew that no one had signed up yet. So as soon as we get a couple of signups, we'll do the drawing. We're gonna do giveaways, and we're just gonna keep going as we keep building. So this was the 75, and we're gonna do another giveaway once we hit 100 subs, and we're gonna be obviously there's so much stuff here that we're gonna be starting. Spring training games start in about 2 weeks. It's like something like 16, 17 days. We're going to actually have games. We're going to have on the field action. Now, obviously, spring training games aren't that important, especially the first week of the season, of the spring training season. They're not that big of a deal, but we're going to try to cover some of those just because it's kind of fun. It's fun to actually have baseball back. Luis Castillo, yeah, that would be an interesting name. Excuse me. Tired. I'm excited, but I'm tired. So that is it. The Mets have Pete Alonso back for sure this year. Next year, if he basically what it is next year is the insurance in case Pete has a down year. And I think this is good. I was definitely lobbying for the 1 year deal just to get something done, but the 1 year with an opt-in for Pete is maybe the best of both worlds. If he opts in, it doesn't preclude the Mets from going after Vlad Guerrero Jr. next year because you could just run him between third, first, and DH. So you have that. But let's just hope the Mets can put together a season, win the World Series, get Pete the ring with the Mets. And then even if his career with the Mets is over at that point, at least you got Pete Alonso, New York Mets world champion. That will put him in the Mets lore forever, even if he decides to move on from there. And so that's what we've got. We'll keep our ears open here. I'm gonna move this camera just so I can check a couple things on the computer here really quick. I just want to make sure there's no other breaking news from that, because when I first clicked on this, yeah, it looks like I'm not seeing any other updates. 2-year deal, $54 million, $20 million plus a $10 million signing bonus this year, and a $24 million player option next year. So Pete is back. That is what we have. That is the big breaking news. This is a lot of people are not going to even know this until tomorrow morning. A lot of people probably already went to bed before this happened. Let me just, speaking of going to bed, I need to as well. All right. All right. Says that Pete turned down a 3-year offer from the Mets, which was $71 million guaranteed. So this is 54. So yeah, the Mets paid up. The Mets paid up for sure here. The Mets paid up to do this. How's it going? How's it going, Savage? So, yeah. So basically, Pete's gonna have 27 million a year for 2 years if he wants it, or 30 for this year if that's all he wants. So, it's good. I hope he stays long term, but I don't think so. I think this is going to be Pete's last year. I think Brett Beatty's going to be traded. I think the Mets are going to get one other number 1 or number 2 level starting pitcher. Those are my predictions between now and the start of the regular season and the next season. So, yeah, awesome. Sounds good. I'll have to go see it when I'm done here, Savage. So, yeah, Pete is back. Let's see. I'm just comparing contracts here. Matt Olson signed an 8-year, $168 million. So what is that? That's like $21 million a year. Freeman, 6-year, $162 million. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not the length that Pete wants, but the value is right up there. Right up there. So I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. All right, there are a couple other Mets notes from earlier today, so I'm going to just update on this. I'm just reading this now. Mets outright Dylan Covey and Luis De Los Santos. Mets sent righty Dylan Covey and infielder Luis De Los Santos outright to AAA. Both players were designated for assignment last week. Covey is the corresponding move for Ryan Stanek. De Los Santos was sent down when the Mets signed Nick Madrigal. Here it is. Make sure you sign up. Make sure you sign up. Click on that link. We're giving away that card, Nick Madrigal, rookie card. Both players are offseason additions. They haven't played for the Mets, so that's nothing crazy there. Now, there's probably going to have to be a corresponding move here with Pete being re-signed too. So I don't have the whole roster up in front of me, but doing that. A couple other baseball news things. Again, this is not the main focus, but just in case you're like me and you haven't gotten caught up, Astros re-signed Ben Gamel today. What is that deal? They have the stats here. He gets a $200,000 signing bonus and $1 million base salary if he makes the club out of spring training. Dodgers out of coach. More talk on the Astros. Rangers signed Matt Festa to a minor league deal. So Yankees claim Owen White off waivers from the Reds. Oh, and Harrison Bader. Yes, Harrison Bader, who was with the Mets last year. He signed a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Twins. Guaranteed $6.25 million plus $2 million in bonuses available if he hits them. So anyway, that's that. I don't think anybody really cares about any of those moves at this point now that Pete Alonso has re-signed. So once again, for those of you who missed it, please again hit that like and that subscribe. But Pete Alonso has signed a 2-year deal. He has a player option after year 1. And so year 1 will give him a $10 million signing bonus plus $12 million. And then next year you can opt in for $24 million. So if he takes both years, it'll be $54 million. If not, it'll just be $30 million for one. So Pete Alonso is back. He will be your opening day first baseman. So that's the team. We have the team. So make sure you hit that like, that subscribe. Tell me if you like this move. I mean, I don't think any Mets fans are going to be super angry. I mean, yeah, people got frustrated with the negotiations, but ultimately Pete wanted to be with the Mets, and the Mets wanted to have Pete. And so I think ultimately, like, there's no ill will. I hope at least there's not. I mean, obviously, if he gets off to a slow start, then maybe that changes things. But that's what we got. So we're going to end out here. Appreciate you guys signing in. Spread the news. Pete is back. Yeah, Ronald, I agree with you. I'm glad that it is over. Even as someone who's kind of new into the Mets content creation game, it was like, oh my goodness. It wasn't even the Pete Alonso stuff. It was all the tangential rumors like Spencer Torkelson or this person. Or like, I get it. That's how this goes. That's just what it is. But yeah, I'm glad it's over. And I would encourage Mets fans, don't have any ill will towards Pete. He knows he has a short window to get paid the maximum amount. And I know it's millions of dollars, and to us that seems like crazy, but there's an economy. There is a baseball economy. And so he's trying to make sure that he gets what he believes his fair value is. And I wouldn't blame any of you if you were trying to negotiate with your boss for a raise and talk to other companies to try to do it. Like, I understand that's just the way this world works. And so hopefully there's no ill will towards Pete. And going from that, wonder what the Red Sox are going to do. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder where Alex Bregman is going to end up. I wonder if Bregman's going to go to the Dodgers now, or not the Dodgers. They don't need more players. To the Blue Jays. You know, there was lots of rumors that and the Blue Jays are trying to sign an extension with Vlad Guerrero Jr. too. But I wonder if the Blue Jays, now that they don't have Pete, Bregman fits the Blue Jays better anyway. So I wonder if they'll get him. But the only problem with Bregman is he's going to want 5 or 6 year deal. So you're going to have to have him for a while, and the good or the bad that comes with that. So we'll see. We'll see how all of this plays out. So with that being said, appreciate you all. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, click through. Make sure you sign up for the drawing for the Nick Madrigal rookie card. So we've got it, and hopefully he makes the camp with the Mets, and then you'll have his rookie card to go. So that link is the pinned comment in both of those chats. Thank you for helping out a small channel. We just crossed the 80. The 80. Shalom, hello, goodbye, and peace. I learned that from my friends back in high school. Shalom to you, Ronald. Appreciate you hanging out. So we'll have so many more updates coming in the days ahead. So my predictions, I could be completely wrong. My predictions are Brett Beatty gets traded. 2, this is Pete Alonso's final year with the New York Mets. And 3, the Mets are going to sign a number 1 or a number 2 starting pitcher before the season starts in some capacity, whether sign or trade or something like that. So we'll see. We're gonna track those. You can make your other predictions. Put your predictions for what the Mets are going to do between now and the start of the season down in the comments below. Appreciate all of you, and have an awesome night.